Hello, everyone listening to us today. Welcome to a peek behind EU careers by EPSO. EPSO is the acronym for European Personnel Selection Office. My name is Luís Loureiro de Amorim. I'm the head of outreach and communication at EPSO, and I'm here today in Brussels in the studios of the Directorate General for Research and Innovation with my colleague, Marcin Witkowski. I hope I put a smile on our listeners' lips by mispronouncing your name, Marcin, but you'll have the time to correct me in a moment. I'm here with Marcin to talk about his career for the EU institutions and in particular for the European Parliament, where Marcin is working nowadays.
Hello, Luis. Hello, listeners. Surprisingly, you pronounced my name correctly. It's a typical Polish name with the end ski. I come from Poland. I've been working for the EU institutions for more than 10 years now, initially at the European Commission and now, as you said correctly, in the Parliament in Luxembourg.
Working for the European Parliament, but where exactly? What is it that you do at the Parliament, Marcin?
I'm dealing with the internal control at the European Parliament in Luxembourg. This has been always a very important topic to all the institutions. However, in the recent years, it became even more important. Therefore, my tasks are strictly related to evaluating of the internal control standards within the institution.
Can you give us an example of some of the things that you deal with? For many of our listeners, internal control is probably a very alien concept. So tell us something that you may do on a daily basis.
Right. Internal control might sound sometimes, let's say, a little bit boring. However, this encompasses really a wide range of topics. From financial aspects, through administrative aspects, anti-fraud strategy, ethics within the institutions, which is also a very important topic these days. My tasks are part of the annual cycle of the assessment of the internal control standards within the European Parliament. We introduced, together with the other colleagues recently, the anti-fraud strategy for our Directorate General. This is an important document that allows us to respect the financial rules of the institutions, financial regulation, to avoid any sort of fraudulent activities that might occur within the institution.
Pretty important stuff. And of course, people who are not sitting, as I am, opposite you in the studio cannot see the passion in your eyes when you talk about this. I can see that you take it very seriously, that this is a matter that is important to you. Was it something that you chose? How did you come into this particular role?
Already back in 2006, when I started my first faculty, which was European Studies, I developed interest in the European affairs, which then continued through my educational process at the university in Poland, but also in Austria. I did my Erasmus Exchange, which is also something that is an advice to go through. It's an extremely interesting process that shapes your mindset.
Where did you go to with Erasmus?
I did go to Ireland, to Dublin, Erasmus Exchange in Dublin, something that I will remember till the end of my days, I suppose. An extremely interesting experience.
I'll have to interrupt you there because I want to know about some of those memorable moments in Dublin. What was it about Dublin, Ireland, university life there that stayed with you? I really saw your eyes sparkle when you talked about it, and I would like to hear a little bit more.
First of all, Trinity College in Dublin is really a prestigious place to be in. Mm-hmm. And I happened to be there during the St. Patrick's Day. So 17th of March, this is a day that you really need to be in Dublin and experience the whole parade. You know, it's a beautiful moment to share with your friends that you, of course, make while doing Erasmus Exchange. A beautiful country full of places to visit. But coming back to the question why I landed at the job in the Parliament. Well, as I said before, I started at the Commission in DG Budget. So, of course, finance, budget-related affairs, matters that were really important to me in the beginning of my career at the institutions. I came almost straight from the university. So I had a little bit of time spent in the private sector in Poland. However, on the moment when I got a phone call from my future boss asking if I would like to come for a traineeship, so 5 months to Brussels, to DG Budget, I had to really think twice because the decision was not easy to make. It is, at the end of the day, a traineeship with no guarantee to stay. So many things have to be taken into consideration while making a decision like this. But I did. I took a chance. I came to Brussels, and that was October 2013. So this year will be 11 years.
You said in the beginning that moving to Brussels was not obvious, particularly because it was a traineeship that you were being offered. But you did, you liked it, you stayed longer. You're now working for the Parliament.
So indeed, a first obvious thing is you leave your family, friends behind when you decide to move to Brussels, Luxembourg, or any other city where the EU institution or agency might be located. This brings, of course, challenges. You miss your family, you miss your friend, especially in the beginning, like it was in my case, coming to a place that was totally new to me, with no contacts almost whatsoever. This is the biggest challenge, I would say. But this is not particularly a challenge related to the EU institutions, but I think it is a challenge related to basically living abroad. Well, of course, in the beginning, there will be colleagues in your office, at your work, who will be your closest contacts, with whom you spend the most time. They will, depending, but very often take care of you, seeing that you are this lost colleague coming from the other part of Europe, and I had myself, let's say, experience like this, that I was taken care of by my colleagues from the Commission at that time. This allowed me to relax a little bit more, not to feel this loneliness, and not to miss that much family and friends in Poland, in my case.
Do you come from a small place in Poland?
So I come from, I would say, mid-sized city called Toruń, which is in northern part of Poland, around 200,000 inhabitants. And Nicolaus Copernicus was born there, so the famous astronomer. And then I lived in Kraków for 7 years, which was already a bigger city. So I did experience already back before coming to Brussels a little bit of the big city life, I would say. So coming to Brussels in the beginning for me was not that big of a deal. However, in the beginning, for example, as I said, I was a little bit complaining about the weather, about the public transport, which surprisingly these days irritates me when I hear from the others, because it was me a few years ago, but I know it will change for the colleagues or for the people who now I'm sometimes listening. I don't like this, I don't like that. Be patient, it will grow in you when you are in Brussels.
I heard you talk about how your colleagues took care of you in the beginning when you started working for the Commission. And I wanted to talk about teamwork because it's something that we officials talk about quite often, that the institutions really put a lot of value on teamwork. And I wanted to ask you if this is something that you have experienced yourself.
Definitely, teamwork is something that is important within the institutions. Depending on the institutions, your team might be 5 colleagues or your team might be 50 colleagues, This comes with advantages and disadvantages of being in either small or big group. However, it is important to remember we all have the same goal. We all have a similar mindset, meaning we work for the European project. Whether you like it or not, the task you are performing at the end of the day will be a small part of a bigger picture. And it allows us to form a little bit of a bond. We all come from different various member states, speaking different languages, So it is important in a group, in a teamwork, to find a common way of communication, understanding our cultural differences. We have to sometimes think twice what we want to say, how we want to act, in order to facilitate this functioning of a group. If I will be put in place with my Polish colleagues only, we will do it in a Polish way. But since I'm with Italians, Greeks, Swedish, Germans, we need to really find a common ground to do things together. And this is a little bit of a beauty of working in the EU institutions. And in my opinion, something that differs from the private sector. Because in the private sector, you can also find a situation when people come from many different backgrounds. But this common goal, this European project in the back of your head, this is something that I believe personally makes at the end of the day a difference.
Marcin, I wanted to ask you, if somebody's listening to us thinking that they might wish to apply for a job with the European institutions, what kind of advice would you give? Let's imagine that we have at the end of the line a young person who's starting to imagine that this could be a good career option. What would be your recommendations?
Well, if we have someone like that, I can already say, if you have developed certain thoughts about working in the EU institutions, you are already on a good way to get here. You have to, first of all, have a positive mindset and imagine yourself working with the EU affairs. And this is something that starts your career in the EU institutions. I was there. I had the same situation. I had maybe the same thoughts before coming to Brussels initially, but I took a chance. I took, we can say, also a risk coming for a traineeship. This is something that, doesn't give you really a certainty to stay with the institutions. However, this is very often a first step. And then it might open other doors, As I said, if you already have this mindset, you are part of the group. You are part of the bubble. Because in my opinion, colleagues already working in the institutions, they also have this sort of mindset. So you belong to us already. So continue, pursue your career in the institutions.
I must ask you, a traineeship, it opened doors. So what happened after that? You came for 5 months. How did it then evolve from there so that you would then start working for the Commission, now the Parliament? So what steps did you take after your traineeship?
So the traineeship is a great opportunity to get to know the institutions better during the 5 months period.
This was the Blue Book traineeship that you did?
That was the Blue Book traineeship indeed. I came for 5 months. And of course, if the colleagues with whom you work, if the institution as such is happy with your work, you might be asked to stay. And then we come to another step. Either it is a contract agent position, it might be also a temporary agent position, or it might be an interimer contract. There are several ways to stay within the institutions.
Mm-hmm. I'm coming to the end of our conversation, and I must ask you if there's a question, an issue that I didn't ask you about that you would like to share with us.
It comes with a little bit of the topic we already discussed before. Even though I'm working for the EU institutions for more than 10 years now, there are colleagues working longer. Louis, you will be the one, I suppose. There is always a question, should I go back? Is it now the time? And it's a natural process, It is something normal that we have those thoughts from time to time. Your family is still there, your friends are there, but this is something not to worry about too much. I have those questions, Sometimes the motivation may be a little bit weaker when I have to, in the rainy morning on a dark day, drive, to work. But this is something natural. This is something human, I would say, that comes. But it's not something to forget. It is important to talk about this and share the experience with your colleagues, who I'm pretty sure have the same thoughts as you. But it is this, let's say, what we said before, team spirit that keeps you going. If you have something to tell to your colleagues, you can always do that after work as well, to enjoy a little bit more time, to stay motivated. And then if you want to go back, there's always possibility like this. But if you really want to continue a career in the institutions, there is plenty of opportunities in different locations, in different institutions, So this EU institutional world offers a lot of possibilities, But you have to be a little bit brave and take a little bit of a risk to enjoy that.
Thank you so much, Marcin. This was a peek behind EU careers by EPSO with my colleague Marcin, who works for the European Parliament in Luxembourg. It was a real pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you very much, Luis. It was a pleasure to meet you as well here today in the studio, and I hope I could contribute a little bit to the EPSO project and to make decision of young people to come to EU institutions a little bit easier.
A peek behind EU careers by the European Personnel Selection Office is an opportunity for people to learn about the life, work of EU staff in the so-called Euro bubble in Luxembourg, in Brussels, and beyond. It is supported by the Director General for Research and Innovation, in whose studios we record the podcast.